the ASICS Cumulus gets a complete overhaul for version 25. But this is a situation where the more things change, the more they stay the same. This is the ASICS Cumulus 25. Yo, what's going on everybody? My name is Kofuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who reviews shoes here on YouTube. And today I want to talk to you about the ASICS Cumulus 25. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that ASICS sent to me for the purpose of review, so I did not have to pay for this pair of shoes. However, no one's paying me to make this video or to use the shoe, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the ASICS Cumulus 25. First, let's go over some specs on the shoe. In this shoe, we've got 2 millimeters more of stack height, and that gives us 37.5 millimeters in the heel and 29.5 millimeters in the forefoot, giving us an 8 millimeter drop. Both the men's and the women's have the same drop, although the women's shaves off a millimeter. They have 36.5 and 28.5 for their shoe. But other than that, I believe both of the shoes have the same kind of two compounds that are making up the midsole. For the most part, it's FF Blast Plus, which is kind of my favorite midsole foam that ASICS has been making for their daily trainers. And there's a bunch of it in this shoe. And there's also some gel in the heel, but now it's not just the regular ASICS gel, it's called Pure Gel, which comes in kind of like this honeycomb pattern and isn't quite as thick or dense as prior iterations of gel. So that's a direction of change that I'm liking to see, but there still is at least a little bit of gel in here and it's just hidden underneath the heel. Moving to the outsole, we have ASICS AHAR Plus compound, which gives us that durability and grip. It's that high abrasion rubber compound material that they've used here in a pattern that's somewhat similar to what we saw in the Nimbus 25 earlier this year. And we've got some exposed area here, so there isn't full rubber coverage. That's going to save on a little bit of weight, but you do have it in the most high traction areas where you're going to need it most. Also, while we're down here looking at this outsole, let's take a look at how wide the footprint of this shoe is. It's much different than the Cumulus of the past, and I feel like this is going to give a lot of extra stability to a shoe without having to add a lot of stability type of elements, because it's both wide where the pads of the feet are up towards the forefoot and also in the heel where the base is. And so combining that wide base of an outsole footprint plus these tall sidewalls, I feel like you're getting a lot of kind of stability elements that are going to cup the heel and also keep the foot nice and stable no matter how it's landing. Moving to the upper on this shoe, we've got an engineered mesh, which is a little bit more built up for durability, but it's a stretchy, breathable material that's very comfortable. They've taken a lot of the excess padding out of the back of this shoe, which I feel like is the right move for a daily trainer, although it is still pretty comfortable and it is kind of moderately padded. And the other nice thing about this shoe is that of the polyester fibers that are in this upper, 90% by weight is made out of recycled polyester materials, and I always love to see that. There is a little pull tab at the back and it is gusseted for the tongue, so this thing isn't going to slide around anywhere. Altogether, this comes in at a respectable weight for a daily trainer of 9 ounces or 255 grams for the men, or for the women, it's 7.9 ounces and 224 grams. All right, now with those specs taken care of, let's talk about what it was like to run in the shoe. And the first thing that I'll say is, although it looks very, very different from any other Cumulus in the past, I'll say it kind of feels a lot like last year's Cumulus. And by that, what I think is that the shoe is a little bit firmer than I like for my preferences. So I like a really bouncy, squishy shoe. I like for it to compress a lot to absorb impact. And then I like for it to spring back to make it for a nice, lively ride. This shoe, I feel like, is a little bit more muted in its response. And I'm actually kind of surprised that this is FF Blast Plus, because it feels very different than the FF Blast Plus that I've seen in other shoes that I've really loved, like the Nimbus 25 and like the Nova Blast 3. So it's a little bit more dense, but it isn't like a hard shoe by any means. It's just, for me, a little bit less exciting. On the Flip side of that though, if you're a person who has looked at the Nova Blast 3 or the Nimbus 25 and thought it was either too mushy or too squishy or unstable, I really feel like the Cumulus 25 with its stability features built in with its geometry and with this slightly denser formulation of FF Blast Plus foam, I think is going to be right up your alley. I also think that for my bigger, taller friends, those of you who are compressing foam a little bit more than I am, I feel like this shoe might be the exact right formulation of squish and response that you guys have been looking for. Now, I've taken this shoe for lots of easy runs, and I wore it a lot for traveling when I went up to Boston. I took it for a shake around up there when I was doing the rabbit shakeout, and I also chose this shoe to wear as the shoe after the marathon when my feet were super beat up. This is what I wanted to get in for some recovery, walking around, and post-marathon celebrations. And I felt like it was a really perfect shoe for that. And I also think that it looked really good too. So I feel like for a lot of daily living, I felt like the shoe worked for me. I did take it also for some strides to see if the shoe could pick up the pace. And I do feel like because it is a little bit on the firmer side, it responds well when I'm pushing into the ground a little bit harder. But because of that wide footprint that we have here, I didn't really feel like this is a shoe that I'd want to take out for an entire workout. I feel like maybe some of this kind of heft might start to get in the way and be a little bit bothersome if I were, say, doing like a threshold mile repeat workout or a long run with marathon effort. But for my kind of bread and butter, most of the week, easy runs, like daily training, I feel like the Cumulus 25 is certainly that workhorse shoe that can step up to the task. But you know what? That's also pretty much exactly how I used last year's shoe as well. I liked it for those daily training, everyday kinds of miles. And I also felt like it was really fun to wear, especially kind of like in the summertime without socks. It was pretty easy to just kind of slip the shoe on, don't even bother untying it, kind of wear it around casually. I felt like it was really comfortable for that. I feel like though, the only downside from last year's was it didn't look the best. Now I just think that it's a lot easier to kind of wear every day. All right, so let's try to summarize some of those thoughts and put it in a way that is a little bit more concise. So I think that the Cumulus 25 is best for those who are looking for a workhorse daily trainer, something they could use for a wide variety of runs and has the durability to be used pretty much every day and for casual wear as well. Now, in terms of things that you can pair it with, I think there is a couple of really interesting options. And for these, I think you can pretty much stay all in the ASICS family. If you're looking for a racing companion to go with this workhorse daily trainer, I think that the obvious choice is to go with the Metaspeed Sky Plus. The Metaspeed Sky Plus being the racing shoe that I have pretty much all of my marathon PRs in for the last couple of years. So this is a shoe that I've been really enjoying. And I think that the two will pair up nicely for every day and workouts and racing. Now, if you want to go to the recovery side and something that's a little bit more comfy than the Cumulus, that's where I really feel like the Nimbus, and this is the matching Earth Day pack that goes with the Cumulus 25 Earth Day edition. This shoe has a lot more plushness to it. It's got a lot more padding on the upper, and it's got a lot more cushion in the midsole. So for those recovery days when you want to like change gears a little bit and slow down, have some really relaxed, long, easier runs, I feel like this could be a nice 1-2 punch. And I feel like they both look pretty fresh, especially for those summertime miles that should be coming up hopefully any day now. Now let's talk about the buying guide for this shoe. This shoe has pretty much just come out very recently, so you're not really going to see it on sale anywhere yet. And it retails at $140, which I don't really love the fact that like the standard like regular price for daily trainers has now become $140, but it feels like that's kind of where we're at, and just kind of an unfortunate commentary on the state of things. Let's see if this is overpriced though for what you're getting. I think that the shoe that this is absolutely targeting is the Brooks Ghost. Now I haven't run in that shoe in a while, but the Brooks Ghost doesn't exactly change every year. And so I feel like those two shoes feel somewhat similar to me. I still would prefer the ASICS Cumulus 25 any day over any of the Brooks Ghost models. But I feel like the Brooks Ghost buyer is who ASICS is looking for when they design this shoe. And both of those happen to be $140. So again, it seems like that's the standard daily trainer price now. It is a little bit on the high side, but I feel like it is what it is. But you do have some alternative options out there for you. If you're looking at the ASICS Cumulus 25 because you're trying to figure out what's the daily trainer from ASICS, I feel like that's one you can look at, but you can also, for the same price, get the Nova Blast 3. And in my mind, I'd pick the Nova Blast 3 any day over the Cumulus 25. I love how squishy it is. I love how responsive it is. I feel like I can use it for more things, and I'd also rather wear this casually as well. But again, for some people, this is too squishy, it's too unstable, and so the Cumulus 25 kind of makes a lot of sense. Both of these are $140, and personally for me, my preferences lead me this way. The other shoe that you have to, I think, consider when you're looking at the Cumulus 25 is the Cumulus 24. I mentioned how similar, kind of like under the hood they feel, even though they look very different and they're set up kind of very differently. This has a lot of gel still in it, but I feel like running wise, they're very similar, except for the fact that the 25 is much more stable because it's got that extra wide footprint. But you can find the Cumulus 24 on sale for $90 on the ASICS website. I'm not sure if you can find it at other retailers for even cheaper. So for $50 cheaper, I feel like if you can live with the looks and the design of the Cumulus 24, I kind of would recommend that. And then maybe later when the Cumulus 25 starts to get discounted, maybe you pick that one up later this fall. And that's kind of where I would rather you guys go, unless those aesthetic or stability features of the 25 are really going to be big decision game changers for you. So those are my thoughts on the Cumulus 25. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions that I haven't answered yet, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do Monday through Friday right here on YouTube. I'd love to talk to you guys in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?